Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 21st Century RFP Mandatory Pre-Proposal Conference. We just want to test the audio quickly. If you all, for those of you that have access to the chat, if you can hear me clearly, will you please raise your hand so that I can make sure everyone is getting the voice portion correctly? Thank you. I have a couple messages saying that they can hear me. Great. So we will move forward. Thank you all for looking at the opening slide and entering the information that we've requested. Again, we want to welcome you to the 21st Century Community Learning Center's pre-proposal conference. As you'll note on the slide with the agenda, we will have welcome and introduction. We will do a little housekeeping, and then we will jump into the overview of the RFP. Please note that this is just an overview of the RFP. It's a snapshot. What we've tried to do here is to highlight some of the most important information for you, but you still need to make sure you read the entire RFP. We will cover all of the parts, part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we will talk about the attachments, the budget forms, and then we will open the forum for questions. Welcome and introductions. This morning, I am Kenya Jenkins from the Department of Education, and I will be conducting the Zoom meeting for you all. In the office here, we also have Ms. Terry Bird and Mr. Ethan Leonard, and via Zoom, we have Mr. Randy Littleton as well. Just so that everybody is aware, the pre-proposal conference questions. Information regarding question and answers is on section 1, 13.1 on page 16 of the RFP. Please understand that although impromptu questions will be permitted and spontaneous answers will be provided during the pre-proposal conference, the only official answer or position of the state will be stated in writing in response to written questions. Potential applicants should submit all questions in writing, even if an answer has already been given to an oral question. Please see information in the RFP that designates the RFP coordinator and how all written inquiries should be sent to that RFP coordinator if you have questions. Now we're going to jump into an overview of the RFP in part 1. The purpose of this RFP, or request for proposal, is to obtain competitive proposals from qualified applicants who are interested in establishing a 21st Century Community Learning Center. The 21st Century program was amended by Congress as Title IV Part B of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and amended as the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015. The purpose of the program is to provide opportunities for communities to establish or expand activities in community learning centers that, 1, provide opportunities for academic enrichment, including providing tutorial services to help students, particularly students who attend low-performing schools, offer students a broad array of additional services, programs, and activities, such as youth development activities, service learning, nutrition, health education, drug and violence prevention programs, counseling programs, arts, and so on. And also offers families of students served by community learning centers opportunities for active and meaningful engagement in their children's education, including opportunities for literacy and related educational development. On the screen, you'll see the schedule of events. The public release for the RFP on LAPAC has already taken place. Today is the second of 3 mandatory pre-proposal conferences, and you only have to participate in one. Deadline for receipt of written inquiries will be April 16th. Deadline to answer those inquiries and post those to the LEPAC website will be April 23rd. The deadline for receipt of proposals will be May 8th, 2019, no later than 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. The application review period will take place from May until July, and the DOA review period, notice of intent and protest, will begin on or around July to August of 2019. On this slide, you will see that the RFP is available in 2 locations. One is available in PDF format on the LEPAC website. The second is the RFP is available in Word format on the Louisiana Believes website. Proposal submission. There is a proposal checklist on page 77 that you should utilize when preparing for your proposal submission. The proposal must be received by the RFP coordinator on or before the date and time specified in the schedule of events. Fax or email submissions will not be accepted. Applicants mailing their proposals should allow sufficient mail delivery time to ensure receipt of their proposal by the time specified. The proposal package must be labeled with the name and number of the RFP on the package for identification purposes and delivered at the proposer's expense. If you are hand delivering your application, please allow at minimum 30 to 60 minutes for building security checks. You will need to present a photo ID to the guard station in the lobby for entrance. Also, with proposal submission, you need to have a specified number of copies. 1, you will need 2 fully completed original signed proposals in blue ink. Please, no staples, no binders, etc. Label this as 21st CCLC 19 original. Number 2, 1 electronic copy of the original signed proposal on a USB flash drive. Label this copy as 21st CCLC 19 original electronic copy. Then you will need 4 anonymized or blind electronic copies on 4 individual USB flash drives. The blind copies must be completely redacted electronically. Failure to do so will deem the application ineligible and it will not be reviewed. Please review these copies before submitting to ensure all identifying information is redacted. Label the blind copies as 21st CCLC blind copy number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Examples of redacted information are outlined on the slide, and additionally, it is outlined in the RFP examples as well. When providing the redacted information, please ensure that you are not leaving any personal identifiable information about your organization. Again, for the blind copies, you're redacting all personal identifiable information about your organization. Eligibility qualifications. Local educational agencies or LEAs, community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, other public or private entities, or a consortia of such agencies, organizations, or entities shall be eligible to receive funds to provide services to low-income students and their families. Individual public schools shall not submit a proposal. They must apply through an LEA or other eligible entity and will be funded in only one contract. Public charter schools must apply for 21st CCLC funding under their 501c3 nonprofit. Public charter schools that operate multiple LEAs will be funded in only one contract. Proposals must be submitted by a lead proposer, which, if awarded a contract, will become the prime contractor or the fiscal agent. The Veteran and Hudson Initiative programs. Many of you may be familiar with this program. It's involved in all of the RFPs submitted for the state of Louisiana. But the state of Louisiana Veteran and Hudson Initiatives are designed to provide additional opportunities for Louisiana-based small entrepreneurship, sometimes referred to as LEVETs or SEs, to participate in contracting and procurement with the state. A certified veteran-owned and service-connected disabled veteran-owned small entrepreneurship, or LEVET, and a Louisiana Initiative for Small Entrepreneurship, Hudson Initiative. Small entrepreneurship are businesses that have been certified by the Louisiana Department of Economic Development. Up to 12% of the total evaluation points on this RFP are reserved for proposers who are themselves a certified veteran or Hudson Initiative participant, or who will engage the participation of one or more certified veteran or Hudson Initiative participants. Please see page 90 for the Veteran Hudson Initiative form that will be completed. The blackout period. The blackout period is a specified period of time during a competitive sealed procurement process in which any proposer, bidder, or its agent or representative is prohibited from communicating about the effective procurement with any state employee or contractor of the state involved in any step in the procurement process. The blackout period begins upon the posting of the solicitation and will end when the contract is awarded by BEST. Proposer inquiries should be submitted to the RFP coordinator. Written inquiries must be received by April 16th, no later than 2 p.m., as specified in your schedule of events. Responses to those inquiries will be posted to the LEPAC website by April 23rd, 2019. All inquiries written that you want an official response to must be sent via email to rfp_lde@la.gov. Again, that email address is rfp_lde@la.gov. Proposal rejection and ownership of the proposal. Please note that issuance of this RFP in no way shall constitute a commitment by the state to award a contract. The state shall reserve the right to accept or reject in whole or part all proposals submitted and or cancel this RFP if it is determined to be in the state's best interest. All materials submitted in response to this RFP shall become the property of the state. Selection or rejection of a proposal shall not affect this right. The state shall not be liable for any cost incurred by applicants prior to issuance of or entering into a contract. Costs associated with developing the proposal, preparing for oral presentations, and any other expenses incurred by the proposer in responding to this RFP shall be entirely the responsibility of the proposer and shall not be reimbursed in any manner. Part 2, Scope of Work and Services. The eligible applicants, again, are any public or private organization that meets those eligibility requirements can apply for 21st CCLC funding. Again, that would include your LEAs, community-based organizations, Indian tribes or tribal organizations, other public or private entities, or a consortium of 2 or more such agencies, organizations, or entities. are eligible to receive funds to provide services to low-income students and their families. All applicants must target students who primarily attend schools eligible for Title I school-wide programs under Section 1114 of ESSA and the families of those students. So that is our target population. To be eligible for this grant, at least 70% of the students an applicant is proposing to serve must, 1, attend schools implementing comprehensive support and improvement activities or targeted support and improvement activities under Section 1111D of ESSA, or other schools determined by the local educational agency to be in need of intervention and support to improve students' academic achievement and other outcomes, and also to be students who may be at risk for academic failure, dropping out of school, involvement in criminal or delinquent activities, or who lack strong positive role models. Applicants should refer to the list of Louisiana CIR and UIR schools that meet eligibility requirements. Please note that in Louisiana, those schools that are in need of comprehensive support and improvement activities are what we call our CIR, Comprehensive Intervention Required, or UIR, Urgent Intervention Required schools. Funding methodology. The total funding to be released for this RFP is approximately $17 million, contingent on Louisiana's federal award for quality applications to operate a 21st CCLC program within the state of Louisiana. Applicants may request funds ranging from a minimum of $50,000 to a maximum of $800,000 annually. Requests for funding should be based upon a maximum per pupil cost of $1,500 per student. Under this RFP, there is some required staff positions. There are 3 required staff positions. 1, there must be a full-time project director. 1 dedicated full-time project director that is qualified to manage the day-to-day and overall operations, ensure compliance with all grant requirements, and lead the program through a process of continuous improvement. 2, an education liaison. The hours for this staff person will not exceed 30 hours per week. This should be 1 dedicated person qualified to manage all academic components of the program. And there should be site coordinators. The hours are not to exceed 1 hour prior to programming and 1 hour after programming. This should be 1 dedicated person for each site qualified to manage and design and implementation of all site-level activities. There is a maximum of 4 sites under this RFP. Again, there is a maximum of 4 sites under this RFP. The project director, the education liaison, and site coordinator positions can only be filled by 1 person per position. Lead teachers or administrators acting in other capacities during the school day cannot satisfy the requirements of these positions. Exceptions: for grants that only operate 1 site, 1 person may be responsible for both the project director and site coordinator responsibility. At this time, we will have a brief pause so that we can open the floor for the official roll call for this pre-proposal conference. I'll pause briefly and I will share another screen with you as we get started with the official roll call. We are now preparing to take official roll call. Roll call will now open. If you are logged into the Zoom meeting via computer through the use of the chat box feature, we ask that you please type your agency name that will be submitting a proposal and your full name into the chat box. We know that this may be the second time for some of you, but we ask you to please bear with us while we do the official roll call. Again, if you are logged into the Zoom meeting via computer through the use of the chat box feature, please type your agency name that will be submitting a proposal and your full name into the chat box. If you are dialed in by phone only, I will call the last 4 digits of the phone number listed as participating twice. I will then unmute your line, and at that time, you will need to verbally provide the agency name that will be submitting a 21st century proposal and your full name. Again, if you are dialed in by phone only, I will call the last 4 digits of the phone number listed as participating twice. I will then unmute your line, and at that time, you will need to verbally provide the agency name that will be submitting a 21st century proposal and your full name. If anyone is participating in the Zoom meeting and their participation is identified through the Zoom app via smartphone or tablet, the grants management team will send you a private chat to obtain your participant's name and agency name. At this time, we will have a brief pause while we prepare to call those last 4 digits of the phone number and unmute those individuals so that they can report the agency name that will be submitting and their full name. One moment. Last 4 digits, 6300. 6300. I am unmuting your line. 6300. Please give us your name and your agency name. Last 4 digits, 5400. 5400. I'm unmuting your line.
Suzanne Navo, EBR Schools. This is my second visit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Last 4 digits, 3415. Last 4 digits, 3415. I'm unmuting your line.
Good morning. This is Maria Yabut. This is my second time also from Morehouse Parish.
Thank you, Maria.
Welcome.
Last 4 digits, last 4 digits, 6946. Last 4 digits, 6946. 646. I'm unmuting your line. Last four digits, 6946. Your line is unmuted. Last four digits, 5740. Last four digits, 5740. I'm unmuting your line.
Crystal Freeman, Global Overcomers.
Crystal Freeman, Global Overcomers.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last four digits, 1147. Last four digits, 1147. I'm unmuting your line.
Damon Baptiste with the New Orleans South African Connection, NOSACON Inc.
Damon Baptiste with NOSACON.
Yes.
Thank you. Last four digits, 4465. Last four digits, 4465. I'm unmuting your line. Four, 465. Last four digits, 0047. Last four digits, 0047. I'm unmuting your line.
This is Michelle Brown, Foundation for Science and Math Education.
Michelle Brown,
Foundation for Science and Math Education.
Foundations for Science and Math Education. Thank you. Last four digits, 9577. Last four digits, 9577. I'm unmuting your line.
J.C. Campbell Rock, NOSACON Inc.
Can you repeat the first and last name?
C.C. Campbell Rock, NOSACON Inc.
Thank you. Last four digits, 9537. 9537. I'm unmuting your line.
This is Sabrina Pence with First Line Schools.
Sabrina Pence with First Line.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last four digits, 4465. 4465. I'm unmuting your line. Four, 465. Last four digits, 6300. 6300. I'm unmuting your line.
Pat Van Berkley, Boys and Girls Clubs at Greater Baton Rouge.
Pat Van Berkleo.
That's V as in Victor, ANBURKLEO.
Boys and Girls of Greater Baton Rouge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last four digits, 6946. 6946. I'm unmuting your line.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, this is Carolyn Hammond with Volunteers of America, North Louisiana.
Okay, Carolyn Hammond.
Yes,
Volunteers.
ma'am, Volunteers of America, North Louisiana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last four digits, 9756. 9756. I'm unmuting your line.
Good morning. This is Paula Green with Circle G Educational Services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Final attempt to reach 4465. Last four digits, 4465. I'm unmuting the line. Again, final attempt for 4465. Thank you all for bearing with us while we take the official roll call. At this time, the roll call has now been completed and it is closed. As the presentation continues, the team will reconcile everyone that is a participant with this official roll call. And at the end of the presentation, we will place it back up so that we can ensure that we have everybody that was in the roll call at the specified time accounted for. Again, thank you for your patience, and we will resume the Zoom meeting. One moment. Everyone who has access, we should be on the slide that is titled Types of Proposals. For this RFP, we're asking you to give us the type of proposal that you're going to be submitting. This information should be identified in your cover letter. You can submit a proposal for a traditional 21st century program, which would include program activities held during non-school hours and periods when school is not in session. That would be before school, after school, during summer break. Summer programming is required for all funded 21st CCLC centers. Or you can submit an expanded learning time proposal. Programs held during the regular school day when schools have extended the day, the week, or the year in which school is in session, and program activities held outside of the academic calendar year and separately from any regularly scheduled summer school session. There are two types of applicants as well, and this will be included in your cover letter. You will let us know if you're a new applicant or a veteran applicant. A new applicant is defined as any group, agency, or organization that has never had 21st CCLC program funds in Louisiana. Veteran applicants are potentially former 21st CCLC grantees that have previously received grant funds and need support to sustain the organization's after-school program past the original grant award. So if you've ever received 21st CCLC funding in Louisiana under any of the cohorts, you would be considered a veteran. So again, you have two types of proposals, a traditional proposal or an expanded learning time proposal that will be included in your cover letter. And you have two types of applicants, a new applicant or a veteran applicant. Curriculum and instructional materials. Selecting and implementing a high-quality curriculum in the classroom has been the biggest impact on the quality of student learning. To do so, this requires the curriculum to be connected to the standards-aligned assessments students take and the training teachers receive. When these three pieces, curriculum, assessments, and professional development, work together, students are more likely to reach the expectations of the academic standards. In an effort to align the 21st CCLC academic component to the state's curriculum initiatives, if you're going to be using 21st CCLC funding to purchase curriculum and instructional materials, grantees will be required to purchase and utilize Tier 1 curriculum and instructional materials. Instructional materials are one of the most important tools educators use in the classroom to enhance student learning. Required minimum hours. If you are planning to present a traditional 21st CCLC proposal, the project serving elementary and middle school students must operate for a minimum of 30 weeks, 8 to 10 hours per week, with a total of 240 to 300 hours per site. If the project is proposing to serve high school, students must operate for a minimum of 30 weeks, 6 to 8 hours per week, with a total of 180 to 240 hours per site. Required summer programming projects must operate for a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks, 4 hours per day, with a total of 60 to 80 hours per site. This is if you're submitting a traditional proposal. If you're planning to submit an expanded learning time proposal, ELT is the time that an LEA or school extends its normal school day, week, or year to provide additional instruction or educational programs for all students beyond the state mandated requirements for the minimum hours in a school day, days in a school week, or days or weeks in a school year. Any applicant may choose to submit an ELT proposal, thus applying to use 21st CCLC funds to conduct activities during the school day in a school that has previously expanded its school day, week, or year. ELT applicants must submit a plan with the 21st CCLC grant application addressing the required components of a comprehensive ELT plan. Plan requirements are on page 34 of the RFP. Applicants seeking the 21st Century Funds for ELT programs must provide services to all students at the school with at least 300 additional program hours before, during, or after the traditional school day programming in accordance with the submitted comprehensive ELT plan and including a 21st CCLC summer program. So for a ELT program, the ELT school year required hours would be 180 hours between August and May, and the ELT summer required hours would be 120 hours between May and July. '21st CCLC program overview. 21st Century programs shall be located in elementary or secondary schools or other similarly accessible facilities. All 21st CCLC centers must have designated program office space with posted hours, locations, and a master activity schedule. The program must have appropriate equipment, security resources, and a clear strategy for safe transport of students to and from the center and home. The center must meet all OSHA, ADA, and other relevant federal and state facility requirements. And in Louisiana, background checks are required for all staff working with students. Potential subgrantees must make sure provisions for children to have nutritional snacks are being provided. They are strongly encouraged to establish a local 21st CCLC advisory focus group composed of students, teachers, parents, community agencies, and the private sector. Must report program data annually to the United States Department of Education 21 APR system. Must also utilize the state's web-based tracking system, which documents all activities funded under the program, and attend national and state conferences. Each eligible organization that receives an award shall use the funds to carry out a broad array of additional services, programs, and activities, such as academic enrichment, youth development activities, service learning, nutrition and health education, drug and violence prevention, counseling, arts and music, and so on. And please note that this is not an exhaustive list. All Louisiana 21st CCLC programs are expected to meet or exceed at least the first two participant performance measures indicated below. Program monitoring, end-of-year reporting, and future funding will focus on improving performance from year to year. The measures are: 1, students regularly participating in the program will meet or exceed state and local academic achievement standards in reading and math. 2, students regularly participating in the program will show improvement in the performance measures of school attendance, classroom performance, and/or reduced disciplinary referrals. And 3, participants in 21st CCLC programs will demonstrate additional positive educational, social, and behavioral changes. Grantees are permitted to examine or compare student outcomes in a variety of ways. Methods and tools for measuring indicator outcomes may include comparisons of individual students' academic records, attendance and behavior before and after program participation, and comparisons of program participants' achievement and behavior with that of comparison groups. The critical end result is that applicants are expected to demonstrate how students' academic performance will be improved as a result of the high-quality academic enrichment opportunities that will be provided. Grantees must provide services that meet the federal principles of effectiveness. They are expected to improve student achievement, are combined or coordinated with other federal, state, and local programs for the most effective use of public resources, and respond to the identified community needs. Funding shall not supplant activities funded through the Minimum Foundation Program, or MFP, and religious activities of any kind shall not be allowed. Grantees must hire an individual to serve as a fiscal manager or bookkeeper to ensure accurate record keeping and appropriate supporting documentation. The fiscal manager or bookkeeper must meet one of the minimum qualifications below. The minimum qualifications: 1, a baccalaureate degree with a minimum of 24 hours of business-related courses such as accounting, finance, or management. A certified public accountant licensed in Louisiana. Or 3, a master's degree in public or business administration. Again, the fiscal manager or bookkeeper must meet one of these qualifications. The following regulations shall be applicable to Louisiana's 21st Century Community Learning Centers. The Federal Education Department General Administrative Regulations, or EDGAR, the 4th edition, is utilized for the federal requirements for this grant. The link is located there on the page that gives you an opportunity to review EDGAR. Allowable expenses. All expenditures must be consistent with applicable state and federal laws, regulations, and guidance. So you have allowable expenses such as salaries for 21st Century Project Director, Education Liaison, Site Coordinators. Ensure that these salaries are reasonable and in line with the industry standard. Contractors, fiscal managers, auditors, independent evaluators, criminal background checks, supplies and materials, and so on are all allowable expenses. And again, this is not an exhaustive list. See pages 40 through 41 of the RFP. Project funds may not be used to supplant existing programs and/or funding. The supplanting provision does not prohibit federal funds from being used to continue programs where a previous federal grant has ended and other federal, state, or local funds would not have been available. Applicants cannot duplicate services and/or target populations. As a general rule, program funds may be used only to cover costs that, 1, comply with the approved grant application and budget, and 2, are reasonable and necessary for the proper and efficient performance and administration of the grant. The budget must clearly reflect the program design. It is not sufficient to list transportation in the budget if it is not described in the program design section of the narrative. Please ensure that anything that is in your budget is aligned to your narrative. Grantees must budget for equipment and technology expenses in the first 2 years of the grant. For the third and final year of the grant, equipment and supply expenses must be prorated based on the percentage of use. A maximum of 1% of each 21st CCLC budget must be spent on parenting skills programs that promote parental involvement and family literacy and family engagement activities, including family engagement, parent leadership, family literacy, and programs such as GED courses, ESL courses, computer technology, and other courses depending on the participating parents and their needs of community. Applicants are not permitted to divest more than 20% of their total grant award to any single entity, including but not limited to partners, collaborators, or subgrantees. Applicants must maintain direct control of 51% of the total grant award or more during the entire grant cycle. Applicants are not allowed to divest oversight of the program administration or implementation to another agency. This includes, but is not limited to, existing 21st CCLC programs and other agencies in a sub-grant process. These funds may not be used as a pass-through to another agency to operate a 21st CCLC program. Fiscal audit and evaluation costs. The fiscal audit and evaluation costs shall not exceed the sum total of $15,000 annually for program evaluation and audit. There is a cap of $5,000 for the program evaluation and $10,000 for an audit. If the entity receives $750,000 or more per fiscal year in federal awards, a fiscal audit shall be required. These expenses must be approved by LDOE staff and will not be noted as an administrative cost to the grant. Indirect or administrative costs for school systems shall be at a fixed federal rate. Indirect costs for private, nonprofit organizations shall be no more than 10%. Upon contract approval, LDOE will require documentation from the organization in order to calculate an IDC rate. Note, the combination of IDC and administrative costs cannot exceed 20%. Unallowable expenditures. No part-time teachers or staff may exceed 29 hours per week. Prior written approval is needed from LDOE for any staff that exceeds 29 hours per week. Uniforms are an unallowable expense unless the program provides a 50% match with other funds. 21st CCLC funds will only be utilized once the 50% match is met and documentation of that match has been provided to LDOE. Preparation of the proposal. Costs to develop, prepare, and/or write the 21st CCLC proposal cannot be charged to the grant directly or indirectly by either the agency or a subcontractor. Pre-award costs may not be charged against this grant. Funds can be used only for activities conducted and costs incurred after the start date of the grant. Please note that 21st CCLC funds cannot be used to pay for school-related and school-wide athletics or organized competitive sports activities, league fees, and all associated costs. Salaries or district dues and are strictly prohibited and considered supplanting. Competitive sports costs are costs that would have been covered previously through other means and therefore prohibited under the 21st CCLC program, supplement not supplant statutory requirements. Entertainment, refreshments, and snacks. These are unallowable. A field trip is unallowable without the required academic support and will be considered entertainment and not allowable. There are no overnight or out-of-state field trips permitted. Again, this is not an exhaustive list. Please see pages 42 through 44 of the RFP for further information. Fees for service. Although federal law does not prohibit the charging of fees for participation in 21st CCLC programs, in order to ensure that the priorities of the 21st CCLC programs in Louisiana are not compromised, the LDOE prohibits charging any fees. Federal guidance clearly states that programs must be equally accessible to all students targeted for services, regardless of their ability to pay. Federal guidance further recognizes that the priority of the program to serve poor students and families could be compromised through the charging of program fees. Again, program fees are unallowable. Attendance threshold. Grantees must maintain 80% of their proposed student attendance numbers annually during each year of the grant. Failure to maintain 80% of the student attendance may result in award reductions to the allocation for the remainder of the grant period. Please note that the 80% student attendance is directly correlated with the 30-day regular attendance indicator used in data collection system created by the United States Department of Education. The regular attendee is defined for the purposes of federal reporting and refers to students who have attended a 21st CCLC program for at least 30 days, which does not have to be consecutive during a reporting period. Proposal requirements. In the proposal, you will note that there are certain areas and criteria that have to be responded to. There is an abstract, and there are no points for this section. There is a demonstration of need for 5 points, community notice and collaboration. Here you have your private school, 5 points, and community collaborations, 5 points, for a total of 10. Project design and implementation. You have your overall vision for 10 points, your family engagement for 10 points, and your performance measures and indicators for 10 points, which total 30 points. Organizational leadership and management plan, 20 points. Project evaluation, 8 points. Sustainability, 5 points. And your project cost, which would be your budget and your budget form, 10 points, for a total subscore of 88 points. Then you have those individuals that will be participants of the Louisiana Veteran and/or Hudson Initiative, and you can receive up to 12 points in that area, making the total eligible score 100 points. Note that applicants must limit the program narrative to no more than 22 double-spaced pages. Your minimum font size should be no smaller than 12-point standard type font. And ensure that you include page numbers and the applicant's name in the upper right-hand corner of every page. Please refer to pages 47 through 53 of the RFP for specific criteria instruction. Part 3, evaluation. The proposals that pass the preliminary screening and mandatory requirements review will be evaluated based on information provided in the proposal period. Proposals found not to be in compliance will be found non-responsive and rejected from further consideration. Proposals shall be screened for adherence to the basic requirements, such as proposal formatting, completeness of content and required forms, etc., to determine if the proposal addressed the minimum requirements. The evaluation of proposals will be accomplished by an external peer review evaluation team to be designated by the state, which will determine the proposal most advantageous to the state. To maintain confidentiality of the reviewers, the department will not release their names or their contact information. The Department of Education will ensure that reviewers are highly qualified individuals with a strong knowledge of research-based quality after-school programming and represent equitable gender, ethnic, and geographic diversity. The budget review or cost evaluation. The applicant must submit 3 12-month budgets, and the time period for those budgets will be September 1 through August 31. The applicant must use the budget summary and budget detail forms that have been provided in an Excel format. The budget is to be separated by school year and summer, and ELT if applicable, and detailed description of those expenditures must be included. Reviewers will be scoring the budgets based upon the alignment of the items in the budget and how they connect to the need established in the proposal, the reasonableness based upon the narrative and budgeted expenditures, and allowability of the items listed in the budget. Funding priorities. To ensure equitable and reasonable distribution of the 21st CCLC funds throughout the state as it pertains to geographic diversity and/or to reduce the funding of multiple projects in a district or the submission of nearly identical proposals, a funding priority will be given to proposals that meet the following criteria. As you will notice, many of you that are familiar with funding priorities, there used to be points assigned. There are no longer points assigned, but instead an additional funds to be awarded. If an individual or entity wants to or is proposing to serve a middle school program or middle school students, that would be a priority. If they're proposing to have a program in an area that is currently not being served, that would be a priority. Proposing to serve students in high school would be a priority. Proposing a STEAM-focused program would be a priority. And for those who would serve Louisiana D or F or UIR schools, that would be a priority. And so you see that the cost would be $1,525 per student instead of the $1,500. And again, these additional funds distributed for funding priorities are solely based upon funding availability. Part 4, performance standards. After proposals are awarded, they will be expected to adhere to the Louisiana after-school framework. The framework depicts a formula for Louisiana's evaluation of after-school providers, where in an effort to obtain a more rigorous academic approach to program evaluation, the department assesses providers in 3 areas: academic performance, attendance, and stakeholder satisfaction. Here is a snapshot of what the actual after-school framework looks like, and you get more detailed information on the breakdown of how points are assigned and how grades are assigned. Attachments. In the RFP, there are several pages that are in the rear of the RFP that are considered important attachments. The most important is that checklist that is listed for you. The checklist will assist you in making sure that you have all of the required information for submission of the proposal. Again, the checklist is a very important document that allows you to ensure that you have all of the required documents you need for submission. The proposal cover page is on page 78. On the cover page, you will note what type of organization you are. You will provide the name, address, and general information about your program. And the most important thing is that you will sign, or whoever your authorized signer is, will sign this page in blue ink. The next page is Form AA, which is your funding priority page. If you plan to take advantage of any of those funding priorities, you will need to complete Form AA and indicate which of those priorities you will be wanting to be eligible for. There is also on that page a list of the parishes that are currently being served, so that you will be aware of those areas that do not have actual programming as of now. Form A is your partnering agencies form. This form will be completed and should accompany your MOU. Please note that an individual, agency, organization, or entity that only provides services for a fee is not considered a partner. That is a vendor. An individual, an agency, or organization that provides services for a fee is not a partner. That is a vendor. They will not be included on your partnering agencies form. Form B is your MOU. And the form following Form B provides you with some instruction on your partnership letters. So that would be instructions for Form A and B and partnership letters. Please make sure that you read that information. Form C is your private school consultation form. It is to be completed by all proposers and duplicated as needed. Understand that students who attend private schools in the areas to be served by your proposed program are eligible to participate. We say that we want you to look in your area or your attendance zone or within a 3 to 5 mile radius of where your actual program is going to be providing services. And you need to look and see what private schools are in your area and make contact with them to see if they have students who are eligible and would like to participate in the 21st Century program. And you will follow the instructions on Form C and complete the form as needed. Form D would be utilized if you have participating private schools. You will need to put the information that is on that page. You would have to have that information of those particular private schools. Form E is your program summary form, which notates that there are 4 sites maximum. You would complete those sites that you plan to have and all of the areas of services that will be provided to those sites. Form F is your fiscal manager and bookkeeper qualifications form. Please ensure that as you begin to reach out to people who may be your fiscal manager or bookkeeper, that this form is completed. And please note, the fiscal manager bookkeeper qualifications form is not for LEAs. LEAs do not have to complete this form. Again, Form F, LEAs do not complete this form, but all other entities must complete the fiscal manager and bookkeeper qualifications form, and make sure that you read the form carefully and provide the correct documentation that is associated on the form. The next form in the packet are your budget forms and instructions. There is a link in the Word version of the document that allows you to access the Excel forms that you need to complete for your budget. If you do not have the Word version, of the RFP, please send a request to any of the staff or to the Grants Management Help Desk. The next form is your Veteran Hudson form. You would complete this page if you are a veteran-owned or service-connected disabled small entrepreneurship, a LAVET, or if you're a Hudson Initiative small entrepreneurship, or if you are partnering with one or more and feel as if you qualify for these points. There is documentation, again, associated with this form as you complete it. The next one is your performance goals and indicators template instructions. The instructions are on page 91, and then the actual table and template itself is on 92. So make sure that you read those instructions carefully and understand what you need to do with that particular template. At this time, we will pause for a moment and allow you all to prepare questions. Please type those questions into the chat box, and then the team and I will do our best to try to answer all of the questions for you. Again, please note that these are impromptu responses. These are not considered official. If you want an official response, you will need to ensure that you send those written inquiries to the RFP coordinator via email. And again, we will pause for 2 to 3 minutes and come back and begin to answer some of your questions. Okay, thank you again for your time. We will now attempt to answer questions, and I'm trying to go back through the entire chat that I can see to start at the first one. And so we have a question of where will the PowerPoint be posted? The PowerPoint will be posted after the last Zoom meeting on Monday on the Louisiana Believes website. It will be in the after-school resources toolbox. It will be posted on the Louisiana Believes website. The second one, is there a maximum number of sites served per district? Yes, it will be a maximum of 4 sites that can be served. The next question, please clarify dedicated full-time project director. Is this to be the only responsibility of the person? Yes, a full-time director, this really should be their only responsibility. However, we know in some school districts, there are percentages of people's time that are dedicated to other projects. So with LEAs, we will definitely, we're definitely aware of that. Okay, please clarify all programs must be implemented through a partnership that includes LEA and nonprofit agency. Meaning, for school districts, you are your own LEA, thus your own fiscal agent, and have access to your own schools. So you do not necessarily have to partner with outside agencies. However, nonprofits, community-based organizations, private entities, those who need access to these schools for the children to be able to participate, they definitely have to partner with an LEA. Do we include the entire RFP for a blind copy or remove the MOUs and cover letters? When you are redacting information, you would be redacting all information. For example, if we have Ginger's after-school program, we would make sure that Ginger's would be redacted, because that would be how somebody could identify with that program. So make sure that on MOU that, again, you redact the program information, the entity that is applying. The question, if the bookkeeper hasn't been identified, is Form F still required? Yes. You must identify an entity or individual who will be working, because you have to supply documentation of their credentials. So you will need to identify a person. May an LEA submit more than one proposal if each would serve different schools? No. An LEA is to submit one proposal and will be awarded under one contract, but can serve multiple sites. Does the funding cover only one full-time staff member? Typically, there is truly only 1 to 2 full-time staff members for an after-school program, which usually is the executive director or your program director. Everybody else works in a part-time capacity. We are allowing that education liaison to have 30 hours, which in some cases could be considered full-time, but that should be the only other person. Okay, can you revisit the requirements for the ELT application? If the school day has already been expanded to incorporate relevant activities, would that be considered eligible for 21st century funds? Or since the school day has already been expanded, would that be considered supplanting? For ELT, you want to make sure that you are working within a school system that has been expanded already. What you're going to show us is, based upon that expansion, how are you going to provide 300 additional hours of service to that school? Please make sure you go back to the section in the RFP that discusses the ELT and the ELT plan and what you would have to document, those hours above and beyond the state mandated hours. The number of maximum pages is 22 for your narrative. The cover letter and cover page are 2 different documents. That is correct. A cover letter and the cover page are 2 different documents. The cover letter will be one that you construct yourself. The cover page is a form that we have provided in the attachment. Do redact MOU, budget information, and partner letters? Yes. Does the proposal limit of 22 pages include attachments that a proposal will want to include to support their application? The only attachments that should be included are those that we have noted in the RFP itself, those attachment forms. Your narrative should be 22 pages in length. The template that we're asking you to provide does not include your 22 pages. So the performance template that we're asking you to put into your narrative, we will not count against that as 22 pages, but it should just be 22 pages of narrative and not additional attachments outside of the attachments that we have provided. Can you explain what is meant by counseling program as an allowable expense? We've had programs that have been able to provide mental health services or wraparound services to students, and so counseling could fall under that arena. With regards to the redacted information, again, you're redacting information that is personally identifiable. So if it is a district name, you would need to redact it. If it is a agency's name, you would need to redact it. Ensuring that a person picking up your proposal to review it as a reviewer cannot tell what agency they are reviewing. That's the most important thing to remember. Remember, a reviewer picking up a proposal should not be able to know what agency it is they're reviewing. That's the purpose of having a blind copy or a blind read. All right, the question, define an official transcript for a fiscal manager. Can this be a copy or does it need to have the school seal imprinted? An official transcript is a sealed transcript from the university with an official seal. It is not a copy. It is not a version you print offline. It is an official transcript from the university that is usually sealed until someone on our team were to open it. Will the written submitted questions and answers be posted somewhere for us to see? All written inquiries will be posted to the LAPAC website. The answers to all of those that are submitted will be posted to the LAPAC website. Can a traditional and expanded learning RFP be submitted by one agency, or is it only one per provider? It's only one. So you will have to select which type of proposal you want to submit, whether it's one for expanded learning time or whether it be a traditional 21st CCLC proposal. Can traditional be summer programs only? No. A program in totality has to include a regular school year program and a summer program. At this time, while we're preparing to end, I will switch my screen so that you will be able to see the final roll call that was completed. And if there is any discrepancy that is noticed, please stay in the meeting so that we can ensure to resolve it and make sure that we have everyone accounted for that was that participated during the official roll call. Okay, there's another question. Is there a clerical position? Positions are determined by the need of the program. So the only required positions that we must see are those three that were noted in the presentation. If funds are not able to be used to cover current programming expenses, can they be used to cover expenses of expanding the current programming? Adding new course offerings in the same after-school program. I'm not sure I understand your question in totality. You would have to give me a little more information. So what I can gather from it is you're saying you have an existing program and you want to expand it. That is allowable to do. And if I'm not understanding your question just right, please enter it into the chat. Okay. We are going to bring the webinar to a close. Again, I'm going to pause the screen that you see and switch over to the roll call. Okay, on the screen now, you should see the official roll call for the Zoom meeting today. And if you met participation or not, for anyone that wants, and I'm going to scroll down so that you can actually see the full page. But for those of you that see your name and you've met participation, you may, I want to thank you for attending the Zoom meeting today. Hopefully we've been able to assist you in some way, and you can go ahead and drop off the line. For those that we need to shore up on some of your information, please stay on the line so that we can make sure that you've been accounted for. And for those that were connected by phone only, all of you were documented. The only phone-only participant that we were unable to verify was the last 4 digits, 4465.